In 1979, Mike remarried his first wife, Dee Hoffman, while both were students at the University of Florida. Mike had a promising future, nearly an Eagle Scout, serving as an altar boy, and excelling academically and in sports. He graduated with an MBA from the University of Miami. He and Dee had 2 daughters, Caroline and Kate, whom he loved, but his career kept him away from family. After 25 years, Dee requested a divorce, and Mike, at 49, entered the world of online dating, meeting Susan, a 38-year-old nurse. They quickly became serious, and Susan moved into Mike's home, taking over Dee's former space. The couple married in 2007, establishing a new life around Mike's local dental business in Florida. Though they appeared to live an ideal life, tension grew. In 2007, Mike drafted a prenuptial agreement after Susan's temper flared at a family party. Additionally, Susan's $35,000 in credit card debt added strain. Her relationship with Mike's daughters was tense, often isolating him from them. Despite these challenges, Susan took on a major role in Caroline's wedding plans, planning a bridal shower and purchasing a wedding dress. 3 weeks after Caroline's wedding in 2017, Mike revealed to her that Susan had assaulted him. Susan, however, claimed an argument escalated after learning the wedding exceeded budget. She threw a phone at Mike, who later dismissed the charges after she began anger management therapy. On February 3, 2018, Mike made a 911 call, reporting that Susan was gravely injured from a supposed home invasion. Susan survived but later accused Mike of the attack, stating he had attempted to kill her after an argument. This led to Mike's arrest on attempted murder charges, shocking family and friends who knew him as a caring father. Additional charges, including obstruction, were added as the investigation deepened. In 2019, Mike faced allegations of attempting to hire someone to kill Susan. During the trial, he portrayed their marriage as tense, citing control conflicts and physical altercations. Susan, according to Mike, was prone to outbursts, escalating their marriage into a volatile situation. In January, 17-year-old Zion Foster went missing, sending shockwaves through her close-knit East Point, Michigan community. Known for her kindness and responsibility, Zion was a typical high school student with dreams of a bright future. Her disappearance was out of character, and the community rallied around her family as authorities launched an intense investigation to uncover her whereabouts. Early in the investigation, authorities learned that Zion's cousin, Jalen Brazier, was the last person to see her. Jalen and Zion shared a close bond, more like siblings than cousins. At first, Jalen claimed that they had hung out briefly before parting ways. However, inconsistencies in his statements raised red flags for investigators, who observed his nervous behavior and shifting story. As more details emerged, phone records revealed that Jalen's movements were suspicious on the night of Zion's disappearance, leading authorities to bring him in for additional questioning. As the pressure mounted, Jalen eventually admitted that something terrible had happened to Zion that night, claiming it was an accident. However, instead of notifying anyone or seeking help, Jalen chose to dispose of Zion's body, hiding it in a dumpster in Detroit. His confession devastated Zion's family and the community, who struggled to comprehend that someone so close to her could be responsible. Despite Jalen's confession, Zion's body was never recovered. This grim reality denied her family the chance to properly mourn her loss and left them searching for answers. Jalen was subsequently arrested, facing charges that included lying to police and tampering with evidence. His trial drew significant attention, as prosecutors argued that his actions after her death displayed a callous disregard for human life. Jalen's defense attempted to frame his actions as a terrible mistake driven by panic rather than intent. Throughout the proceedings, Zion's family, especially her mother, stood as vocal advocates, seeking justice for Zion and urging the legal system to hold Jalen accountable. The court ultimately found him guilty, sentencing him to prison. While the conviction brought some closure, the loss of Zion remained a painful reality for her family. Zion's story continues to resonate within her community as a stark reminder of how tragedy can sometimes be hidden within the most familiar places. For her family, her memory lives on as they advocate for awareness around missing children, hoping that her story can help protect others from similar fates. Her legacy stands as a testament to the strength of those who loved her, their determination to fight for justice, and the painful lessons learned about trust, betrayal, and the resilience of a community in the face of unimaginable loss. Ayan, the summer of 2021. Megan Newcomb, a 23-year-old from Nuneaton, England, disappeared just before her 24th birthday. She had left her home on Friday, August 6th, around 7:30 p.m., to meet a romantic interest, Ross McCallum, who worked with her at a local brick manufacturing company. Megan had often been a supportive friend and confidante, but this time her trust in Ross would lead to tragic consequences. When Megan didn't return that night, her parents, Elaine and Anthony, grew increasingly worried. By the following day, with no response to their calls and messages, they reported her missing. Police tracked her car and soon found suspicious evidence, leading them to visit Ross's house in Kill, where they discovered signs of a struggle. Items had been knocked over, and there was a wet spot on the floor, which Ross claimed was coffee. Dark smears on the walls suggested a more sinister scene. After gathering evidence, police arrested Ross at a local pub on suspicion of kidnapping. Under questioning, Ross revealed the location where Megan's body was found, partially hidden by foliage on the roadside near Woodhouse Eaves. She had been strangled, with multiple cuts on her neck made post-mortem, and her body showed clear signs of violent attack. Megan's abandoned car contained her blood, and discarded items linked Ross to the crime. In the days before her death, Megan and Ross had exchanged over 3,500 messages. The texts indicated Ross's insecurities, stemming from struggles with impotence, which he blamed on medication for ADHD. He had previously attempted intimacy with Megan, only to feel humiliated. When this happened again, Ross's anger boiled over, leading him to strangle her in a violent fit of rage. Ross later attempted to cover up the crime, sending sweet texts to Megan's phone as if she were still alive, and disposed of evidence across multiple locations. A post-mortem confirmed that Megan had suffered extensive injuries, and her death was ruled a homicide. In court, Ross admitted to killing her but argued it was manslaughter, claiming he had lost control in a moment of frustration. His defense portrayed him as a man haunted by a traumatic past, suggesting that childhood abuse, including alleged abuse by a convicted killer, played a role in his psychological state. Despite these claims, the prosecution argued that Ross's actions were calculated and driven by his inability to cope with feelings of inadequacy. Evidence from his internet searches, where he researched notorious killers, painted a dark portrait of his mindset following the murder. They contended that his actions went beyond a moment of anger, showing intent to silence Megan and conceal the crime. In October 2022, Ross stood trial for Megan's murder. The heartbreaking case left Megan's family and community in shock. While Ross was ultimately held accountable, Megan's story remains a chilling reminder of the fragility of trust and the devastating consequences of hidden rage. Her loss was deeply felt by those who knew her, a young woman taken too soon, and her family left with a lifetime of unanswered questions. In a case that shook an entire city, 19-year-old Ayan life ended in a heartbreaking tragedy, exposing the deep flaws in the systems meant to protect her. A young woman with dreams of a bright future, Ayan was a beloved daughter, friend, and student. Known for her warmth and kindness, she was close to graduating from the Academy of Design and Fashion, where she planned to launch her own fashion brand. Yet, her aspirations would be cruelly cut short by a disturbing turn of events. On the morning of March 19, 2021, Ayan's family was forced to confront an unimaginable truth when her remains were discovered scattered across the city of Adelaide. The horror of the discovery not only devastated her loved ones but scarred the entire community, raising concerns over growing threats of violence against women and the indifference of authorities. Just a day prior, Ayan had been full of joy, sharing her plans on social media. A light-hearted TikTok video of her dancing and laughing showcased her infectious happiness and excitement for the future. Little did anyone know, beneath the surface, she had been communicating with a stranger who soon infiltrated her life under dark pretenses. Though initially unaware of the threat, Ayan's trust would prove fatal. Ayan's last day followed a familiar routine. After attending her classes and finishing her shift at a nail salon, she headed toward her dorm, expecting to end her day as usual. But that night, she disappeared without a trace. Her friends and family grew increasingly alarmed when she didn't return by the dorm's 11 p.m. curfew, a habit Ayan never missed. Her friends contacted dorm supervisor Moral Bakov, and together, they reached out to the local police. Tragically, their calls for help were met with dismissal, as authorities brushed off their concerns, saying, "Wait it out, she'll come back when she's done having fun." Hours turned into despairing silence, and hope began to fade with each moment she remained missing. Friends and family pleaded with the police, yet their concerns were largely ignored, highlighting the grim reality of a system that, when needed most, had failed them entirely. The discovery of Ayan's remains in various parts of Adelaide shocked the city, leaving an entire community in fear and mourning. Her tragic end exposed not only the violent undercurrents within society, but also sparked a demand for systemic change, especially in how cases involving missing women are handled. Her family, who described her as the glue holding them together, now carries on her memory and fight for justice. In her honor, her loved ones have dedicated themselves to advocacy, hoping to bring about a society where such tragedies are prevented and every woman's safety is ensured. In March 2021, Ayan, a bright young woman with dreams of building her own fashion brand, disappeared under tragic circumstances. Originally from Taldy Corgan, she had moved to Almaty, where she enrolled in an academy of design and fashion and was running her own clothing brand, Ayan. Her ambition led her to start learning Turkish as she planned to expand her business. Ayan balanced her studies with a part-time job at a nail salon, where her shifts would often end around 9 p.m. The night of March 19th, Ayan was last seen entering the elevator of a high-rise building in Almaty with an unidentified man. After her family's repeated attempts to file a missing persons report met with police indifference, they turned to volunteers. They circulated flyers and organized searches throughout the city, determined to find her. Days later, the police identified the man from the security footage as Rahman Tera, a 28-year-old former medical academy student. He was later found in his apartment, where officers uncovered evidence of a brutal crime scene. Tera's apartment was a nightmarish sight, with evidence of extreme violence scattered throughout. Investigators discovered dismembered remains and personal belongings of Ayan. Tera initially refused to open the door but was eventually taken into custody, where he later confessed to the murder, claiming it was an impulsive act during an argument. Ayan's family struggled with the loss, haunted by the missed chance to save her due to the authorities' delayed response. Tera's chilling lack of remorse disturbed the public as details of the case spread. Evidence from his social media and personal records suggested premeditation, with investigators speculating that he may have lured Ayan to his apartment under the guise of a business meeting. During the trial, public interest intensified as people sought answers. Tera was sentenced to 25 years in prison, a decision that brought some relief but couldn't fill the void left by Ayan's tragic death. The case highlighted issues such as police negligence and violence against women, sparking conversations on how to make communities safer and better protect vulnerable individuals. Ayan's death became a call to action, urging society to prioritize the safety of women and ensure proper responses to missing person cases. While her family and friends grapple with their loss, her story continues to serve as a reminder of the importance of justice and vigilance. Julia and Stephen initially met online when she sought a rental near Portland, Oregon. Their arrangement led to Stephen meeting Julia's 20-year-old daughter, Rhonda, whom he found captivating. The two began dating, and soon Rhonda moved in with him. While they never married, they had a daughter, deepening Rhonda's commitment despite Stephen's reluctance toward marriage. Rhonda confided in friends about Stephen's abuse, even documenting bruises. In March 2009, the couple went hiking on Eagle Creek Trail. Rhonda texted her mother a joking message, hinting at danger. During the hike, Stephen claimed she acted strangely, then slipped off the trail, falling to her death. Suspicious of Stephen's behavior, Rhonda's family kept the case alive. In 2015, Stephen, living in China with his daughter and fiancé Landy, was arrested in San Francisco for Rhonda's murder. Rhonda's family believed Stephen was responsible, fueled by Stephen's involvement with Rhonda's younger sister Melanie, a minor. This relationship led to charges of sexual assault. Stephen, claiming innocence, argued Rhonda's fall was an accident. His defense highlighted her struggles with depression, but her family dismissed this, accusing Stephen of fabrications to cover his guilt. As the trial unfolded, the tragic truth behind Rhonda's death remained disputed. Stephen's relationship with Rhonda's younger sister, Melanie, spanned over 4 years, a fact he later admitted in court. Evidence included a message from Rhonda to Melanie before their fateful Eagle Creek hike, calling Stephen a piece of garbage and accusing him of manipulating Melanie. Rhonda's mother testified that Rhonda knew Stephen was sowing discord between the sisters but remained hopeful to repair their relationship. Troubling past incidents resurfaced. Stephen faced accusations of sexual harassment, including a case involving a 13-year-old girl and a 2003 claim from his ex-wife, who alleged he attempted to harm her. Photos Rhonda took of bruises on her back also surfaced, along with testimony about Stephen's volatile behavior. In 2017, Stephen entered a plea agreement, admitting to criminally negligent homicide with 3 years of parole, a decision that devastated Rhonda's family. They suspected Stephen sought financial gain from Rhonda's life insurance, as he had struggled with debt. Later, in an interview, Stephen made unsettling comments about Rhonda's death, implying he may have ended her suffering. In 2017, Rhonda's mother sought survivor benefits for her granddaughter, leading to a legal case alleging she collected funds while the child lived with Stephen. Her defense argued she acted to protect the child from Stephen, citing her deepening depression after Rhonda's death.